What is that logo in your WhatsApp?
Ah, I put up pseudo Palestinian flag, which is
Yes.
actually just it's not a flag of any indigenous group to the land of Israel. Why? They claim on the public stage, the enemies of Israel in that region claim that the people of Israel are the foreigners invading their land, and they claim that they are the indigenous. But in practice, everything they do shows the contrary. Everything they do, from their language, Arabic, which is not native to the land of Israel, to their religion, which did not originate in the land of Israel, to their flag, which is actually a pan Arab flag. Pan Arabism refers to the concept of the entire Arab world being like one empire. It's not a flag that represents an indigenous community. It's nearly identical to the Jordanian flag, which is nearly identical to the flag of the Ba'ath Party of Iraq, which was the political party of Saddam Hussein. And the three colors of that flag, they are pan Arab colors. These are not colors, it's not a flag that any indigenous community would adopt. The symbolism of that flag has nothing to do with the local native indigenous culture of the land of Israel, so called Palestine. It has everything to do with the conquering of native peoples by the invading Islamic Arab armies uh, more than roughly 1,400 years ago, give or take a few hundred years, depending on what exact area you're talking about. But yeah, that's the flag. I put up the Palestinian flag on my WhatsApp account as my profile picture. But
Yeah. No water, no electricity, no food.
yes, but we added. I don't remember exactly where I got it from. It's not original to me, but it's it says, well, it has in the red part of their foreign flag, which they try to impose on our land. They have on the red part of their flag rockets. Then on the top part in the black it says no food, because these are the things that they go boo-hoo they don't have, right? While their leaders are billionaires living in luxury, and yet they cry no food, no water. But then at the bottom it has on the green part of their flag, but plenty of rockets, right? Plenty of rockets.
Yeah. So the question is like, is this flag represents Hamas or the Palestinian?
This is the flag that's adopted by the, I say pseudo or so called Palestinian establishment because the very way they use the term Palestine and Palestinian since around the 1960s and on, the very way that they use these terms is substantially different from how the term Palestine and Palestinian was used before the establishment of the Palestinian Liberation Organization, which was the first real example of specifically Arab Islamic Palestinian national identity. It never existed before that. So this flag was adopted by that establishment. And the fact that it was adopted is just one more of many testimonies. It's just one more testimony to the fact that they're not a native indigenous group. Their identity is not native or indigenous. And even if some members of their society happen to be from families that have been there for centuries, the identity that they have taken upon themselves is not indigenous. It's as if there were to be within Indian civilization, the Indian subcontinent, it's as if there were some small elements of the Indian population that suddenly associated with the US government officially, and has rejected Indian identity, and has embraced everything about the United States and now wants to impose US law on India. That's the equivalent of what they are doing, even if some of them happen to have some older ancestry. That's what they're doing. The
So
identity they have taken upon themselves, everything about it is foreign to the land of Israel. Everything about it doesn't matter where your background is. What matters is what ideology do you hold, what values do you hold, what is your culture, and that is not the local native culture, not the native language. Nothing about it's local. Nothing about it's authentic to the land of Israel.
So I mean, so it's I can take this one as a Palestinian flag rather than representing Hamas flag or something. It's just
Correct. That's right. That's right. However, Hamas is the Palestinian government of the Gaza Strip. It was elected democratically. It represents the Palestinian establishment in the Gaza Strip. And although there are other political parties among so called Palestinians, there's really not that many, but although there are a few others, most notably Fatah, which is more popular in Judea and Samaria, so called West Bank. Okay, the so called West Bank.
yeah. I was
So,
about to ask the question that like West Bank people claim that they are not connected with Hamas. Why
well,
Israel?
some of them
Yeah.
are, but it's not as popular. It's not as popular in the in Judea and Samaria. It's better to refer to it as Judea and Samaria
Mhm.
because the term West Bank is a term that was also never the name of any country. It was always the name of a foreign occupation. It's very funny and it's insulting to the intelligence of people to act as if to expect that we would be fooled to think that the West Bank is some legitimate political entity or national entity. It's not. The West Bank, this term was began to be used by the Jordanian government after it conquered that area of the land of Israel. That's the origin of the entire thing. The historical term for that area is Judea and Samaria, which testifies to the local indigenous origin of the Samaritan people and the Jewish people. Samaritans, their homeland is most attested in archaeology, is in Samaria. The Jewish people, their homeland is Judea. And to repeatedly refer to it as the West Bank, I mean, I know we have to refer to it sometimes as that because the enemies of reality, the enemies of Israel, have been so successful at erasing the term Judea and Samaria that most people don't even know those terms. They don't even know what it refers to. They know West Bank. But it's ridiculous and insulting to our intelligence to claim that the indigenous people there are the foreign occupiers of their own homeland, and to claim that those who identify with the West Bank and Arab imperialism, Arab colonialism, to act as if those are the native people. This is insulting to our intelligence. Uh, so, yeah, Fatah is the Palestinian political organization that's most popular in Judea and Samaria that they are occupying. And although they are not equivalent to Hamas in all regards, but the world needs to know that getting rid of Hamas will not solve the problem of violence of it will not solve the problem of the murder of innocent people, whether Jewish civilians or Arab civilians in the area. Why? Because the differences between Hamas and Fatah, the differences between these two parties is not with regard to endorsing terrorism. Support of the murder of innocent people is not one of the differences between them. They share that in common. They share that in common. So you can just completely obliterate Hamas and you're still going to have Palestinian terrorism, Palestinian Islamic terrorism and massacring of Jews. I mean, there are the PA, the Palestinian Authority, which in the West Bank is dominated by Fatah, the Fatah political party. It officially praises, glorifies, and makes cultural heroes out of terrorists openly. They name streets after them, they build statues in their honor, and they use international aid money, even which comes from the US, in order to incentivize the murder of innocent people. If you murder, for every Jew that you murder, you get a certain amount of money. And if you died in a suicide attack, then your family gets money. And that money is coming from international aid. Every single European or every single Western nation that invests in this society, in the Palestinian Arab Islamic society, they're investing in the murder of innocent people. There is a difference between any decent moral government, any decent army. There's a difference when that army may make uh, errors and maybe civilians die inadvertently. That happens in every war. But there is a difference between the inadvertent, unintentional killing of innocent people or the unfortunate death of innocent people who are accidentally killed because they were trying to kill a terrorist, but the terrorist had, I don't know, a baby hidden in their jacket or something. That is fundamentally different from an army that has as its official policy the targeted and intentional killing of innocent people. That's black and white difference. A person who does not understand this difference should not be in civilized society. It's a fundamental difference. If you cannot understand that a person who is accidentally killed in a car wreck, I don't know, because your car malfunctioned. Let's say someone died in a car wreck because your car malfunctioned. If you cannot understand that that is fundamentally different from someone who got in their car and saw a pedestrian walking across the road and he intentionally ran over that person and he said publicly that he did it on purpose. If you cannot understand the difference between these situations, you have less moral and ethical development than a 5-year old. You know, you're spiritually and ethically corrupt. And it's just unbelievable. Like it really leaves me speechless.
Yeah,
That's the
I
difference between Israel and the Palestinian establishment. It's a fundamental difference. There can be mistakes on the part of the Israeli military, as with every government, and there can even be individual soldiers who may do actions that are unjust. The difference is that anyone who behaves in such a way on the Israeli side, they're acting contrary to Israeli policy. If a Palestinian acts in such a way and murders civilians, he's acting in accordance with the Palestinian establishment's policies. If an Israeli soldier is proven to have done any kind of disgusting deed, intentionally gone out of his way to murder a civilian, he's going to be treated as a criminal by the Israeli government. He's going to be a shame to the Jewish people and the people of Israel. We will be ashamed of him. He will be punished. He will not only not be a hero for us, he's going to be something that we are embarrassed of. With the Palestinian establishment, they do the same exact thing. Not only is he not put in prison, but he's rewarded and he's celebrated even by people who don't support Hamas. This is a problem in the entire Palestinian establishment. This is what the world needs to understand. Palestinian identity, as it exists today, it is not a race. It's not its own race. It's not a unique ethnic group. It's not an ethnic group. It was established in the 1960s as its own national identity with the sole purpose of destroying Israel. It's not even a legitimate nation. If you think that's a legitimate nation, then you should consider the Nazis their own legitimate nation. It's disgusting. Anyone
I
who
know.
holds this way is a complete idiot. They're either, I'm sorry, they may not be a complete idiot. They're either a complete idiot or they're ridiculously uneducated and should not be given the time to speak on this matter, or they're truly morally corrupt. Those are the only options. You have to be really uneducated to naive. Like,
Yeah, I agree on that part totally, Rabbi. I totally agree what you said. I do have a question for you that, you know, the events happening right now. I mean, it happened from last October month of, I mean, 7th of October starting from now. Um, if you could see the events, the war, the capturing the places, and then also the countries are joining and putting hands together, against Israel. Almost 30
Mhm.
countries, Arab countries are kind of are coming closer together, and Western countries are trying to, have mind playing around here. So, what do you think? Do you think that can you connect these things in any of the biblical predictions or anything? Is it close? Because the Christian community is totally going out and predicting a lot of things. This is the time. This is going to happen. This and that. What is in your opinion? And what do you think?
Well, there seem to be patterns throughout history, and also there are different potentials if we're talking about biblical prophecy. And the negative potentials that are given, or negative prophecies, doom and gloom prophecies, they, according to mainstream Jewish tradition, and I'm not talking about from 100 years ago, I'm talking about from Mishnaic and Talmudic times. The mainstream Jewish tradition was that